Smoker Numbers Age Close to 1 Billion by Michelle Roberts, Health Editor, BBC News Online. There are more smokers than 30 years ago, but this is linked to global population growth, say experts. Although smoking is becoming less popular in many parts of the world, the total number of smokers is growing, global figures reveal. In 2012, 967 million people smoked every day compared with 721 million in 1980. Data from 187 countries shows the rise is linked to population growth, researchers told JAMA. With the Earth's population having more than doubled in the last 50 years to 7 billion, there are simply more people to take up the habit. Several large countries, including Bangladesh, China, and Russia, have seen increasing numbers of inhabitants take up smoking in recent years, the figures show. Indeed, some of the highest smoking rates are now seen in the developing world. According to the JAMA report from the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, IHME, in the U.S., by global smoking prevalence, the proportion of the world's population that smokes has gone down. Around 3 in 10 men, 31%, and 1 in 20 women, 6%, now smoke daily compared with 4 in 10 men, 41%, and 1 in 10 women, 10%, in 1980. In terms of countries with the highest prevalence of tobacco use, East Timor tops the list with 61% of its population smoking every day. The twin Caribbean islands of Antigua and Barbuda are bottom at 5%. Certain countries, including Canada, Iceland, Norway, and Mexico, have been more successful than most at getting inhabitants to either quit or never take up smoking. In terms of ill health, the greatest toll is likely to be in countries with both a high prevalence of smoking and a high consumption of cigarettes, say the researchers, namely Greece, Ireland, Italy, and Japan, as well as China, Kuwait, the Philippines, Russia, Switzerland, and Uruguay. Lead researchers Dr. Christopher Murray, who is director of the IHME, said, despite the tremendous progress made on tobacco control, much more remains to be done. The World Health Organization says millions of additional lives could be saved with continued implementation of policies such as increased cigarette taxes, and smoke-free air laws. Amanda Sanford of Action on Smoking and Health, ASH, said, as the overall number of smokers worldwide is still rising, this study shows how important it is for all countries to implement a range of tobacco control measures to curb the terrible toll of tobacco-related illness and death. Low and middle-income countries, in particular, face an enormous challenge to fend off the powerful tobacco industry and stop smoking rates escalating. Globally, an estimated 6.25 trillion cigarettes were smoked by people during the year 2012, compared with 4.96 trillion in 1980. Don't poison the guests. How to keep holiday food safe. Ensuring cleanliness and proper temperatures can help avoid foodborne illness. By Janet Davison, CBC News. Bacteria can lurk on the buffet table if food is left sitting out too long or not kept at the proper temperature. The holiday season is a time of great generosity and sharing, but there's one gift no host wants to give: food poisoning. With that in mind, there are simple tips that hosts and those preparing food can follow to ensure everyone keeps feeling fine long after the turkey has been eaten, the eggnog drunk, and the cookie nibbled down to the last crumb. Basically, it comes down to keeping food at the proper temperature at all times and ensuring that those preparing and serving it wash their hands and use clean utensils and cutting boards. The two biggest concerns are cross-contamination and temperature abuse, says Britta Ball, a food safety expert at the University of Guelph in Southern Ontario. Cross-contamination refers to what happens when people use utensils or cutting boards that aren't clean, which can allow juices with harmful microorganisms from raw poultry or other items to infect food that's already prepared, like the Brussels sprouts or sweet potatoes that were cooked ahead of time. Temperature abuse means having improper temperatures for storing, cooking, or keeping things cold. The federal government estimates there are about 4 million cases of foodborne illnesses in Canada each year, caused by microorganisms ranging from E. coli and Listeria monocytogenes to salmonella, and marine toxins found in bivalve shellfish. Foodborne illness happens in different ways, says Ball. You'll get a different experience from different organisms. Some will give you nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, or something like that. Sometimes it is not the bacteria themselves, but it's the toxins that the bacteria produce and that could be a problem as well. Magic numbers to remember. In both mind, the most important practices to remember are washing hands before preparing food, using clean cutting boards and utensils, and using a thermometer to check the temperatures of food as it is cooking. Temperature can also become a testy issue at the buffet table. Hosts might just replenish food on the table, putting more salad in a bowl that wasn't quite empty, or add more meat on a platter that has been sitting out for longer than it should. In all this, there are magic numbers to remember. Don't leave food sitting out at room temperature for longer than 2 hours. If it's not hotter than 60 C or colder than 4 degrees. Otherwise, you'll get bacteria growth, says Toronto-based registered dietitian Marilyn Temple. Hot foods should be kept at greater than 140 degrees F, which is 60 degrees C, and the cold food kept lower than 4 degrees C or 40 degrees F. When Bo is at a buffet, he looks over the various foods, determines which ones might have a higher risk of causing problems, and steers clear of them. I would choose items like pasteurized cheese and crackers, things like that, rather than foods that might have been sitting too long at room temperature, or that I know might have been prepared with raw milk, or something like that. The problem with turkeys. When it comes to specific foods, turkey is one of particular temperature concerns. The main thing to remember when you are cooking a turkey is to cook it fully to the temperatures they are recommended by Health Canada, and to avoid cross-contamination with any raw meat juices to the cooked meat, says Ball. Also, make sure any stuffing is cooked thoroughly by checking its temperature. Ball recommends that stuffing be cooked outside the bird. Health Canada says turkey should be cooked until the thickest part of the breast or thigh registers at least 85 degrees C 185 degrees F on a digital food thermometer. If stuffing is cooked inside the turkey, cook it into minimum temperature of 74 degrees C, 165 degrees F. Bo also cautions about using frozen, pre-stuffed turkeys, something that has become more common. It's important that you cook from frozen. Do not thaw those birds and fully cook them according to the instructions on the package. That's absolutely essential, Bo says. There have been some foodborne illnesses associated with that, and it's because people have not allowed the directions exactly. A trend towards roasting the turkey for a long time at a low temperature also carries some risk. That long cooking time at a low temperature could allow bacteria in the turkey to grow a high enough count. Had enough numbers that could cause a problem, Bo says. Well caution is essential to ensuring food safety. There is also no need to become so consumed with potential risk that some of the seasonal enjoyment food brings is lost. There are some foods that are higher risk than others, and so we just have to be careful with some foods that we know have a higher likelihood of being contaminated, Bo says. Raw food. Raw shellfish and cheeses made with raw milk pose particular risks, especially for people with compromised immune systems. With raw milk cheeses, says Bo, the two biggest concerns are the potential for E. coli and Listeria monocytogenes. It's a risk-reward, and some people really like raw milk cheeses, says Bo. They have to understand that when they have a raw milk cheese, there's a risk associated with that. That's why Health Canada cautions pregnant mothers against eating soft cheeses such as brie, camembert, and those with blue veins.